お父さん行ってきます。
おい、いってらっしゃい。気をつけてな。
The girl never thought a simple fall would change her life forever. The girl's name was Aya. Her father ran a tofu shop, and every morning, their family of 6 would pitch in to make tofu together. It was the day of Aya's high school entrance exam, and she forgot her admission ticket. Luckily, her mom noticed just in time and called her back. But on the bus to school, Aya accidentally slept through her stop. When she jolted awake, she sprinted toward the school only to trip and fall. She brushed off the pain and jumped right back up. By then, the exam had already started. In her panic, Aya tripped again, knocking over a whole row of bikes. That's when she ran into Haruto, who'd been planning to skip the exam. Haruto looked annoyed, but he still helped Aya pick up the bikes. Just then, a heavy downpour hit. Aya grabbed her fallen backpack and hurried to head to school, until Haruto softened up and offered to take her. After dropping Aya off at the infirmary, Haruto was about to leave when a teacher with exam papers stopped him. The teacher said they could take the exam right there in the infirmary. Aya was thrilled, but Haruto was frustrated. He hadn't even wanted to take the exam in the first place. When the results came out, Aya got into Tokyo High School. That night, her family celebrated for her. Aya asked her mom if her dad could have a drink, and her mom agreed. But when Aya poured the sake for her dad, she accidentally spilled it everywhere. To anyone else, it was just a silly little mistake, but it made her mom pause, deep in thought. On the first day of school, one student showed up late. It was Haruto. Aya waved to him, but he didn't acknowledge her. A few days later, Aya was walking to school like usual when her body suddenly lost balance. She crashed hard to the ground. Her mom drove her to the hospital. Most people would instinctively put their hands out to break a fall, but Aya had no scrapes on her hands. That made her mom anxious. The doctor examined Aya and found she struggled to stay balanced, even struggling with simple movements. A few days later, the diagnosis came in. The doctor told Aya's mom, Aya had spinocerebellar degeneration. The disease would slowly rob her of control over her body as her nerves deteriorated. She'd stay fully conscious, but wouldn't be able to control her own movements. And to this day, there hadn't been a single successful treatment case. For a mother to accept that her 15-year-old daughter had an incurable disease, it was almost impossible. But at that very moment, Aya was at school, convincing her classmates to join the choir competition together. Aya's mom refused to believe it. She searched everywhere, visiting famous hospitals and doctors, but no one gave her the answer she'd been hoping for. Finally, the harsh truth sank in, and she had to accept it. As she listened to her daughter's voice on the phone, Aya's mom couldn't hold back anymore. She broke down sobbing. If she could, she would have traded places with Aya in a heartbeat, taking all that pain for herself. In the evening, Aya was feeding stray dogs in the park when she ran into Haruto, who'd also come to feed them. Just then, a heavy rain started pouring down. Aya took the puppy and went back to her place with Haruto to take shelter from the rain. When Aya's dad saw her bringing a boy home, he got a little flustered. Aya had planned to ask if the puppy could stay for just one night, but to her surprise, her mom agreed right away that they could keep it. Aya was thrilled, but her younger sister was annoyed. She'd asked their mom if she could get a cat before, and been turned down. The sister figured this was just another example of their parents favoring Aya. What the sister didn't know, though, was that Aya's parents already knew she had an incurable disease. They just wanted Aya to have as many happy moments as possible. They decided not to tell her about her condition yet, but Aya was a smart kid. Even though her mom had told her symptoms were just adolescent autonomic nervous system disorder, Aya couldn't help but feel suspicious after what the doctor had said, and with her symptoms getting worse by the day. While sitting alone in the hospital hallway, Aya met Anna. When she heard Anna was there to visit her dad, Aya offered to help carry Anna's things to the hospital room. It was only when they got there that Aya saw Anna's dad was bedridden and paralyzed. She also noticed the name of the doctor on the wall was the same as her own doctor's. A wave of unease washed over her. After basketball practice, Aya was chatting happily with her friends when an upperclassman called her over. He asked her out after school, but ended up taking her to a shoe store to help him pick out shoes. When they left, he grabbed a shoelace hanging nearby and said it was a gift for her. Kind as always, Aya still acted happy. Just then, 2 kids came running over, messing around. Aya instinctively tried to move out of the way, but her body wouldn't budge. She got knocked to the ground by the kids. A few days later, Aya brought flowers to the hospital to visit Anna's dad. She asked what illness he had. Spinocerebellar degeneration, Anna said. It was the first time Aya had ever heard that name. As they talked about Anna's dad's symptoms, Aya couldn't help but connect them to all the strange things she'd been feeling lately. That night, Aya snuck into the biology lab. She wanted to use the computer to look up the disease she'd heard about at the hospital. Staring at the dense text on the screen, images of Anna's dad lying paralyzed in bed, and flashes of her own worsening symptoms. All of it flooded Aya's mind. Just then, Haruto walked in. He said he'd come to take care of the sick fish in the tank. For some reason, whenever she was around Haruto, Aya could always let her true feelings show.
変なの、麻生君は。人が死ぬのはどうでもいいのに、魚は気になるんだね。
うるせえ。
変なの。
When Aya got home, she saw how worried her parents looked. She quickly pulled herself together and forced a smile. Glancing at the calendar on the wall, marked with the choir competition and her next doctor's appointment, Aya made up her mind to face the truth that day. At rehearsal, she was back to her usual self. Watching her classmates sing, she felt even more determined to do her best in the competition. She was scared to face the truth, of course, but she also knew she'd have to confront her real fate eventually.
いきなり泣くし、いきなり復活するし、
お前って変。
今日さ答えが出んの。聞かなきゃいけないこと。でももしそれ聞いたら私変わっちゃうかもしんない。今が最後なんだ。この私でいられるのも。
何それ、クイズ？
そんなところだからさ、ちゃんと歌ってよね。口パクとかじゃ許さないから。
To watch Aya's choir competition, her family even closed their tofu shop for the day. Aya did amazing during the performance. Her parents watched their daughter on stage and couldn't hold back their tears. She was supposed to be enjoying the best years of her life, but instead, she was staring down a cruel illness. As her parents, they could barely even look her in the eye. Even though she knew she'd have to go to the hospital right after, even though she knew she'd get an answer that could change her life forever, Aya still smiled a happy smile in that moment. When the choir competition ended, her parents took her to the hospital.
先生、私の病気って脊髄小脳変性症なんですか？
そうだよ。
私将来優香ちゃんのお父さんみたいになりますか？
ずっと先のことだけどね。なると思う。
今すぐどうこうとかいうことじゃなくて、一つ聞いてもいいですか？
いいよ。
病気はどうして私を選んだの？
The morning after Aya learned about her illness, her parents were still figuring out how to face her, but Aya acted like nothing had happened, just as she always did. No one knew how much she'd thought about it that night. Even though she tried to stay strong, the reality of her sickness and the slow changes in her body made her realize this was something she couldn't fight alone. When she dropped a basketball from her hands, the fear and unease in Aya's heart grew deeper. Right now, she might just have to give up basketball, the sport she loved. But what came next? Aya had no idea. She started to fear. Fear that her condition would get worse as time went on. Fear that she'd have less and less time to live like a normal person. So when her upperclassmen asked her out, Aya hesitated. If the pain was going to come sooner or later, should she even bother letting him get involved? Her mom's heart ached when she heard this. She didn't want Aya to give up things because of her illness. At the very least, Aya could still go to the fireworks festival with someone she liked. Encouraged by her mom's words, Aya decided to say yes to the upperclassmen. The day of the fireworks festival arrived quickly. Aya even put on a yukata to meet him. As they crossed the street, the upperclassman took her hand. Suddenly, Aya felt her legs freeze. She couldn't move them forward. In that moment, her body felt like it wasn't her own. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't control her legs or her body. Before she knew it, Aya fell forward, completely unguarded. Her head hit the ground hard, and everyone around them was shocked by the scene. After that, Aya was admitted to the hospital for treatment. Her younger sister noticed something was off about Aya, remembering all the strange times she'd fallen. Her classmates whispered about it too, and even the upperclassman's friends joked with him, asking if he picked the wrong girl. One day, the upperclassman visited Aya in the hospital. He had a complicated look on his face as he watched her struggle through her rehab exercises. But Aya was happy that someone she liked had come to see her. She apologized, saying she couldn't keep their promise to go out for his birthday. Just then, the doctor spoke up, saying Aya could go out occasionally. It counted as part of her rehab too. Aya was overjoyed when she heard that. After that day, Aya threw herself into her rehab. One afternoon, right after finishing her exercises, she saw Haruto walk into the hospital.
お前、何の病気なの？
不治の病。もう長くないみたい。嘘。
え？
本当は水虫。
おい、
もちろん嘘。
お前遊んでんだろ。
この前のお返しだよ。
Aya didn't realize she always opened up to Haruto without thinking, and Haruto's care for her had quietly grown beyond that of a regular classmate. Since Haruto's dad worked at the hospital, Haruto had a hunch Aya's illness was more serious than it seemed. He found his dad's hospital directory at home and looked up Aya's attending doctor, Dr. Mizuno. In Dr. Mizuno's profile, Haruto saw the name spinocerebellar degeneration. He looked up the disease in a medical book, and as he read the description, he thought back to Aya's symptoms and the little jokes she'd made about her body. A few days later, Haruto overheard the upperclassman talking to his friends at school. It was clear the upperclassman had no intention of keeping his promise to Aya. But by then, Aya was already holding the birthday gift she'd made for him, heading to the park for their date. Only then did the upperclassman call to cancel. The doctor rushed to Aya's hospital room to tell her something, only to find she'd already left. Haruto immediately ran to the park. Before he could get there, a heavy rain started pouring down. Aya waited and waited for the upperclassman, but he never showed up. As the rain got harder, Aya finally decided to leave. Suddenly, she tripped and fell, and the gift in her hand dropped to the ground. She picked it up, and the pouring rain soaked her through.
何雨の中突っ立ってんだよ。風邪ひいて入院になるとも知らないからな。あいつ、来ないよ。急な用事が入ったみたいで。さっき病院に電話来てた。
麻生くん、それ言いに来てくれたの？ありがとう。来てくれて。
別に。
本当は先輩は来ないかもって。どっかで思ってた。来ない方がいいって。
何言ってんだよ。
私ね、 歩けなくなっちゃうんだって。言葉も、だんだん発音がはっきりしなくなって。何言ってるかわかんなくなっちゃうんだって。最後には寝たきりになって、喋ることも食べることもできなくなっちゃうんだって。麻生くん前に言ったよね。人間だけが欲張って余分に生きようとするって。やっぱり欲張りかな。無理に生きようとするのは間違ってるかな。過去に戻りたい。タイムマシン作って過去に戻りたい。
Watching Aya break down, Haruto's heart ached. He didn't say anything. He just stood quietly beside her, keeping her company. Now that Aya was sick, her family was struggling to cover the medical costs. So her mom suggested to her dad that they apply for disability benefits for Aya. It would help ease their financial burden a little. But her dad refused. Maybe he couldn't bear the thought of Aya being labeled disabled. Or maybe deep down, he still couldn't accept that Aya would gradually lose her ability to take care of herself and become someone who needed social assistance. Following her parents' arrangement, Aya started getting rides to and from school. Her teacher told the class to look out for Aya more, and all the students' eyes turned to her. Aya still hadn't gotten used to being the center of everyone's concern. After school, Aya stopped Haruto to apologize for breaking down in front of him earlier. Haruto told her, "You don't have to be so strong all the time." Since the upperclassmen stood her up, Aya had realized she might feel like a burden to him. When they ran into each other again at the basketball court, neither of them approached to talk. Maybe she didn't want so much attention from her classmates, or maybe she hated the idea of making her parents work even harder for her. That night, Aya told her mom she didn't need special rides to school anymore. Looking at their daughter, so brave beyond her years, her parents felt more heartache than relief. Before bed, Aya tried to write in her diary, but her worsening condition made holding a pen and writing so hard. She gripped the pen tightly, struggling to form each character. Instead of sleeping, she pushed herself to do rehab exercises, hoping that every extra effort would slow down her illness just a little. One day, Aya sat in the classroom watching her classmates have PE. Then Haruto walked in, saying he'd come back because his stomach hurt. As Haruto rambled about hating PE, Aya realized she didn't even have the strength to respond. Suddenly, she fainted and fell to the floor. Aya hated troubling her friends by asking to go to the bathroom, so she'd stopped drinking water at school. For a normal person, skipping water for a day might not matter, but her illness had made her body so fragile that dehydration caused her to pass out. Haruto went to Dr. Mizuno's office alone. From the information he'd found earlier, he already knew Aya's illness was serious. When he walked out, he found his dad waiting for him at the door. Haruto's dad knew he'd been looking into Aya's condition, and as a doctor, he understood exactly what that illness meant. Haruto couldn't grasp how cruel the disease was, or why all the adults could stay so calm and detached about it. Meanwhile, Aya's mom brought up the disability application again. Her dad flew into a rage, snatching it and throwing it in the trash. It was the first time they'd fought since Aya got sick. Aya's mom couldn't understand why he was so stubbornly against the benefits, but all her dad could say was, "I don't want Aya to suffer like this." Just then, Aya's younger sister stepped in to stop the argument. She'd already suspected her parents were hiding something about Aya's illness. Seeing how hard it was for Aya to move, she'd held back from pestering her before. And on the nights Aya practiced rehab alone, her sister hadn't been asleep, so after hearing her parents fight, she finally blurted out all the questions she'd been holding in.
あやねのこと何も話してくれないで。あげくこうやって喧嘩。私たちに知られたくないことがあるなら徹底的に隠せばいいじゃない。2人とも言ってることとやってることおかしいよ。
Up in her room, Aya had heard the fight too. She forced herself to walk downstairs. She knew the conflict was all because of her, and guilt washed over her to see her family torn apart because of her. Her mom hugged her, not wanting Aya to feel guilty or to feel inferior because of a disabled label. So she told Aya about the disability handbook. Even if you're labeled disabled, she said, it doesn't mean you've lost your worth in this world. Accepting care from others and society, that's also a kind of strength. Taking the chance. Aya's mom told Aya's younger siblings about her illness. Even though she explained that Aya would get worse, that she'd gradually lose her ability to take care of herself, they still couldn't believe it. The sister who'd always looked out for them had an incurable disease.
治るんだよね。今の医学じゃ治療法はないって。私ごめんねじゃなくって。ありがとうって言葉を大切にする。
After that day, Aya faced her illness with more courage. She went to the basketball court, her favorite place, and kept trying to shoot the ball. Even when the ball slipped from her hands and hit the ground every time, she didn't give up. Maybe in that moment, she was saying goodbye to the sport she loved so much. If she did this now, would she have fewer regrets later?
下手くそ。
麻生くん。
何やってんだよ。試験前で部活休みだろ。
麻生くんこそ。
亀の餌やり。
ねえ。片付けるの手伝って。
As Aya's condition worsened, walking had become extremely difficult for her. She could only move her legs slowly, shuffling forward in an awkward posture, and it was hard not to draw people's stares. One day, Aya and her mom spotted her younger brother Hiroki kicking a soccer ball alone. Seeing him practicing shots, Aya picked up a stone and drew a goal shape on the wall. Using the skills she'd learned from basketball training, she taught Hiroki tips to improve. With his sister's guidance, Hiroki got better and better. He told Aya that if he made the team for the upcoming game, he'd definitely want her to come watch. It was Aya's follow-up appointment. As she struggled to complete each movement the doctor instructed, her mom couldn't help but hope. Maybe Aya will just keep getting better like this? But the doctor knew the truth. These exercises only slowed the disease's progression. They didn't actually treat it. Dr. Mizuno flipped through Aya's diary, where she'd recorded her symptoms. One line made him pause. That simple sentence told him Aya's condition was worsening rapidly. I choked a little while drinking water. For most people, that was trivial, but for Aya, it signaled swallowing difficulties, a worrying new symptom. Meanwhile, Aya's dad went to the supermarket owner, hoping to get their tofu shop's products stocked there. The owner was clearly annoyed, until his son ran over. The boy was Aya's classmate, so he recognized this was Aya's dad. Once the owner realized this was the father of the disabled girl from school, his attitude softened immediately. He agreed to stock their tofu. Aya's dad thanked him quickly, but his heart felt heavy. Before coming, he'd confidently told Aya he'd take care of it. Yet in the end, it was only because people felt sorry for Aya that he'd gotten what he wanted. One morning, Aya was walking to school when the bus pulled up. The classmates beside her ran for it, and Aya tried to jog too, but her steps barely sped up. By the time the bus stopped, everyone else was boarding, while Aya was still struggling toward the stop. That short stretch of road felt endless. When she finally got on, the driver told her it was no problem, but the passengers' glances and expressions made their impatience obvious.
それじゃあ半額の120円になります。
すいません。
The day Hiroki's soccer team announced the players for the game arrived, and Hiroki made the cut. His teammates asked how he'd improved so fast. My sister taught me, Hiroki said proudly. The boys all envied him, crowding around to say they wanted to meet his sister. To celebrate Hiroki's spot on the team, Aya and her younger sister went shopping to pick out a gift for him. A little boy stared at Aya and asked, "Why do you walk so weird?" Even Aya's sister froze, but Aya just smiled and said, "It's okay." Her sister had so many questions. Is she really not sad at all? Does this kind of thing happen to her all the time? But she couldn't bring herself to ask. Just then, some of Hiroki's soccer teammates recognized Aya as his sister. They stared at her awkward, labored walk, confused. Is this the amazing, pretty sister Hiroki talked about?
お前って嘘つきだよな。何がスポーツの得意な美人の姉ちゃんだよ。似てる似てる。いいよ。何すんだよ。
When the boys accidentally kicked the soccer ball into a lake, Hiroki's pride shattered right then and there. Back home, Hiroki suddenly snapped at Aya. "I don't want you coming to my game," he yelled, then ran to his room. Everyone was confused until Haruto showed up. He'd seen Hiroki getting teased by his teammates earlier, so he'd fetched the lost soccer ball and brought it to the Ikuchi house.
大事にしろよ。
え？
ボールも、姉ちゃんも。
A few days later, Aya's mom realized Hiroki had forgotten his tuition fee, so she asked their younger sister to take it to him.
あれ？こっちの姉ちゃんはちゃんと歩けるんだ。
未経中のお姉ちゃんですよね。
僕たちにもサッカー教えてください。
この姉ちゃんじゃねえよ。それにもう一人の姉ちゃん、サッカー教えるなんて無理だって。ちゃんと歩けねえんだぜ。だから紹介なんてできねえんだよな。お前さ、姉ちゃんにサッカー教えてもらうより歩き方教えてやった方がいいんじゃねえのか。いっていって。
あんたなんかスポーツする資格はない。なんで黙ってんの。ねえのことあんな風に言われて腹立たないの。だって邪魔。あいつも最低だけどあなたはもっと最低だよ。あやねえの何が恥ずかしいの。あやねえはすごいじゃん。あやねえ毎日頑張ってリハビリしてあんなに明るくて、もし私があやねえみたいな病気になったらあんな風に外に出る勇気はないよ。じろじろ見られたり変なこと言われたらあんな風に笑ってられないよ。初めてあやねえってすごいってほんとそう思った。これあやねえがつけたんだよ。このね胸につけることがどんなに大変だったかあんたわかる。何時間もかけてつけたんだよ。あやねえのためにこんなに一生懸命になれる。なんであやねえのこと恥ずかしいなんて思うのよ。
もういいから。
そんな風に思ってるあんたの方がよっぽど恥ずかしい。
ヒロキ、あこの言ってることわかるよな。
ごめんなさい。
Aya held back her tears. Before this, she tried to brush off the stares from strangers and classmates, but she'd never expected her family to have to face this because of her. She went outside alone to calm down. She didn't want her family to see her fall apart. If I take a little more of this, my family won't have to deal with as many unkind looks, she thought. I can be stronger. When she returned home, she put on a bright smile, like nothing had happened. She told Hiroki, "I'm going to the movies with friends on your game day, so I won't be able to come." On the day of the game, Aya's younger sister was woken up by noise, but Aya had been awake for hours. When her sister got out of bed, Aya pretended to still be asleep.
あやね起きて。映画行くのが本当なら断った方がいいかも。
Even though she worried Hiroki might get teased because of her, the sincere words Hiroki had written on a card for her made up her mind. She was going to his game.
あやね、
頑張ってね。
あれがあやねだよ。すっげえ美人だろ。羨ましいだろ。
Even if I have to endure more stares, even if it hurts, she thought, there will still be warm, kind eyes too. That thought gave her one more reason to keep going. The new year had arrived, and Aya's family went to the temple to pray for good fortune. By then, moving had become even harder for Aya. She relied on a wheelchair and help from others to get around. At mealtimes, her younger sister AKO would even plate food for her. When Aya struggled with tasks because of her condition, her family quietly stepped in to assist. At school, her friends did their best to help her too. Aya preferred being with her friends over long school breaks. She felt more at ease with them. Around that time, their teacher handed out college major interest surveys. Aya asked Teruto if he planned to choose liberal arts or science. He just shrugged and said, I don't know. She suggested veterinary medicine, but he replied, how would I know? That's so far off. Aya, though, had already made up her mind. No matter what, she wanted a job where she could help others someday. Aya studied hard to prepare for college, but her illness made writing extremely difficult. Sometimes, everyone else would finish taking notes while she was still halfway through. Occasionally, the teacher would wait for her, but their school and class were known for good grades, so when progress slowed even a little because of her, it was hard for some classmates to hide their impatience. One day, Aya's homeroom teacher called her mom to school. The school suggested transferring Aya to a special needs school better equipped for students with disabilities, saying it would be better for Aya's health and for keeping the other students learning on track. Later, when Aya's mom mentioned the special needs school to Dr. Mizuno during a follow-up appointment, he could tell she was worried. He advised her to visit the school first before making a decision. Meanwhile, Aya was studying, but her mind was elsewhere. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out a photo of her and her friends. Staring at it, she thought about what had happened earlier that day. Her best friend Mari had gotten angry when Aya suddenly quit the basketball team. It wasn't the quitting that upset her. It was that Aya had done it without telling her. Why didn't you say anything first? Mari had asked. Am I that untrustworthy to you? After that, Mari still made copies of her notes for Aya, but she refused to talk to her. A few days later, Aya was climbing the stairs with a classmate's help when Mari saw her. Mari didn't come over to say hi. Later, when Aya spotted Mari standing alone on the rooftop, she went over to her. They talked about playing basketball together back in middle school, memories that were precious to both of them. Mari admitted she'd stuck with basketball in middle school because of Aya. As they laughed about old times, they apologized to each other, and the misunderstanding between them finally melted away.
あや、バスケやめても友達だよね。私たち当たり前じゃない。
One afternoon, Aya was rummaging through her desk drawer for something when she found a brochure for the special needs school. She guessed her parents might be thinking of sending her there. At dinner, she seemed distracted, her mind racing. What would it be like if I really had to go? Finally, she worked up the courage to ask her parents about it. Even though they said the special needs school was just one option, Aya made it clear she strongly opposed the idea.
病気のために部活とかやめなくちゃいけないのはしょうがないと思う。他にもいろんなことをいっぱい諦めてきたけど、全部しょうがないって思ってる。みんなとは同じようにいかないこともよくわかってる。でもそれでもマリたちと一緒にいたいの。友達がいないところなんか行きたくないよ。友達までいなくなったら私じゃなくなっちゃうから。
In the end, her parents decided to respect her wishes, though they knew this choice meant Aya would face more hardships ahead. The day of the parent-teacher conference and the basketball game arrived. Aya's mom went to the conference while Aya and AKO went to watch the game. During the conference, all the other parents suddenly turned their eyes to Aya's mom. They started talking about how Aya was affecting the class. As her condition worsened, she relied on classmates more often and was slowing down the class's progress. Aya's mom could understand their concerns, but she also knew Aya wasn't ready to leave her current school yet.
最初は信じられませんでした。主人も私も他の病院を回ったり何冊も医学書を読んだりして何かの間違いだと思いたくて。でも事実でした。娘に病気のことを話した時言われました。どうして私なんだって。まだ15歳なのにって。娘はこれまでにいろんなことを諦めてきました。休みの日に友達と映画に行くことも、大好きだった部活も。でもそんな娘が学校に行くことは本当に楽しみにしてるんです。友達に会えるって毎日笑顔で登校していくんです。このままこの学校にずっとはいられないことも娘は分かっているはずです。ですからもう少し、ほんの少しだけ娘に考える時間をいただきたいんです。どうか自分で決断するまで待ってはいただけないでしょうか。いつかこの学校を去るとき、自分の将来は自分で決めたんだって、そう胸を張って大好きな東高から転校させてやりたいんです。親のわがままだということは重々分かっています。 でもどうぞどうかよろしくお願いいたします。
Maybe her mom was right. Aya knew she'd have to leave someday. But for now, at least while she still had some ability to take care of herself, she wanted to stay. Everything about this school made her feel like she belonged. So even if it meant more trouble, Aya wanted to stay here, in a place that proved she mattered. A few days later, Dad went to a medical supply store. He had his eye on an electric wheelchair. It'd make things so much easier for Aya, he thought. But the price was way too high, he had to walk away. When he got home, he told Mom he'd taken a second job as a blacksmith. Mom worried it would be too tiring, but Dad just said, "Don't worry about it. Just take good care of Aya, and don't tell the kids about this." Aya, who'd been about to go downstairs, heard every word. "So I really am being a burden to my family," she thought. On the day of exams, Aya's friends were helping her climb the stairs when the bell rang suddenly. Aya tried to hurry, but she misstepped. In an instant, Aya and Mari both stumbled backward, tumbling down the long flight of stairs. Luckily, neither was seriously hurt, but Mari's right hand was injured. That meant she couldn't play in the upcoming basketball game. I turned to AKO. "Should I even keep going to the school?" She wasn't sure anymore. AKO said, "What if I study harder from now on? If I get into Toko High too, maybe I can help you when you're an upperclassman. Then Mom won't have to quit her job, right?" Aya was touched. AKO had never been a top student, but here she was, offering to work harder for her. When Aya returned to school after resting, her friends met her at the gate like usual, but their expressions were awkward. They didn't say anything, but it was clear they were holding back. When Aya pushed open the classroom door, the noisy room fell silent instantly. Everyone stared at her, and a strange hush hung in the air. Aya had to leave early for a follow-up appointment. After walking her out, her friends rushed back to the classroom. It was time for the student-teacher discussion, and the class president suddenly suggested talking about the Aya situation. Just then, Aya realized she'd forgotten her notebook and turned back to get it. "The Aya thing needs to be fixed," the president said. "Otherwise, she'll just keep holding the rest of the class back." Some classmates agreed, saying Aya was slowing down the lessons, but others defended her. "Can't we wait for her? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?" Then the president called on Mari.
あやはいろいろ悩んで、でも必死ですごく頑張ってるんだよ。ほんの少し支えてあげるくらい迷惑にはならないでしょ。
でも杉浦さん、池内さんのせいで怪我してバスケの試合出られなかったんだよね。
それは松村さんは？
私は毎日校門まで迎えに行ってて、教室移動もほとんど一緒で、あやが大好きだし友達だからやってるんだけど、でもたまに結構きつい時もあって、私勉強とか器用にできるタイプじゃないし、部活もあるし。
限界じゃねえの？
これからずっとって考えるとさ、
助けてあげたくても無理じゃない？
みんなの意見は分かった。この件についてはちゃんと池内のご家族と相談して。
お前らずるいよ。あいつの前ではいい人のふりして親切にして、あいつが何度ごめんねって言っても平気平気って繰り返して、あいつがいない時にこんな話して、本当は迷惑でしたなんてずるいよ。嫌だったらもともと親切になんかすんなよ。面倒だ、困ってる、疲れるってあいつの前で言えよ。そしたらあいつきっと分かったよ。助けてもらわないで済む方法だって考えたよ。
あ、そう、お前の言いたいことはよく分かる。でも
お前もだよ。
お前って
なんであいつより先に親に話すんだよ。毎日直接顔合わせてるあいつになんで話聞いてやんねえんだよ。外堀埋めて追い込むような真似すんなよ。先生があいつとちゃんと向き合ってたろ。あいつだってきっと自分で。池内、
ごめんなさい、忘れ物しちゃって。
Aya grabbed her notebook and left without pausing. She didn't know how to face her classmates, or how to feel about herself right now. Haruto suddenly ran out after her. He looked at Aya, said nothing, and simply knelt down in front of her. They both stayed quiet about what had just happened in the classroom. It was an unspoken understanding. A flood of memories and words swirled through Aya's mind. This school, which had once made her feel safe and happy, now only made her want to run away. It wasn't until they reached the overpass where they'd first met that Aya finally let herself cry. Haruto knew that even if he'd spoken up in class, he could only stand by and watch Aya struggle with her illness. He saw her fighting so hard, but there was nothing he could do to truly help. That guilt and helplessness weighed heavily on his heart. Aya told Haruto, "I'm really grateful to you for always being there, for listening to me when I had no one else to talk to."
ありがとう、家族。
But in the face of fragile life and the heaviness of illness, neither Aya nor Haruto knew what to do. Asterisk, what should we do? How do we face this? What choice do we make? Where are the answers? Asterisk, it was the day of Rika's kindergarten performance, and the whole family came to watch. Looking at her family's happy faces, Aya felt content. As long as she was with them, she had nothing to fear.
だからさ、仕事辞めないでお母さん。お父さんも無理しないで。
何言ってんだよ。
だからみんながいるから、私どこにいても平気だと思う。私 陽子学校に行くね。
The decision she made next wasn't easy, but she said it softly, like it was weightless. What would this decision mean for her future? She didn't know, but for the first time, she felt brave enough to face it. A few days later, Aya's homeroom teacher announced to the class that Aya would be transferring. It was the first time Aya told her classmates about her illness. Since getting sick, she'd watched as her body slowly lost control. There were more and more things she couldn't do, more things she had to give up. Countless nights, she dreamed of playing basketball with her friends, of walking freely. But every morning, she woke up to a body that wouldn't move the way she wanted. How do you face that gap between dream and reality? Aya knew she had to, there was no other choice. And in that struggle, she'd felt her classmates' care and help more deeply than ever, and her family's love and support. So Aya decided to accept herself, to accept everything. Even with her illness, even if people called her disabled, she would hold her head high and keep living, ready to face the unknown world ahead.
そう笑って言えるようになるまでに、私には少なくとも1リットルの涙が必要でした。だからもう私はこの学校を離れても何かが終わってしまうなんて絶対に思いません。みんな今まで親切にしてくれて本当にありがとう。
After saying goodbye to her classmates, Aya left the school with her parents. One by one, her classmates stood up and ran outside, chasing after them.
流れる季節の真ん中でふと日の長さを感じます。せわしくすぎる日々の中に私とあなたで夢を描く3月の風に思いを乗せて桜のつぼみは春へと続きます。溢れ出す光の粒が少しずつ朝を温めます。大きな首をした後に少し照れてるあなたの横で
Happy memories rushed over Aya in that moment. Is saying goodbye always this complicated? She didn't know, but she knew she'd hold on to this feeling forever. To help Aya move around more freely at the special needs school, her parents bought her a motorized wheelchair. One day, Aya's dad was driving when he spotted Haruto. Before Haruto knew it, he'd been roped into helping out. Since Aya would start at the special needs school the next day, her mom bought her a cell phone as a gift. That way, Aya could easily stay in touch with her family while at school. When Haruto tried to ask for Aya's new number to save it, Aya's dad playfully pretended to be mad and shot him down. The dinner table was filled with laughter, like all the worries and hardships waiting in the future had vanished for that moment. But time never stops, and tomorrow would still come. And come it did, bringing a new day and a new school year. As Haruto watched club members practice as they passed by, his thoughts drifted to Aya. Meanwhile, Aya was visiting the special needs school for the first time, with her mom by her side. The school was surrounded by tall walls, like it was cut off from the rest of the world. After saying goodbye to her mom, Aya met Asami, her first time meeting someone her age who also had an illness. Asami's condition was worse than Aya's. She already had obvious speech impairments. Watching Asami struggle to talk stirred up a mix of complicated feelings in Aya. That night, Aya's dad couldn't wait to call her, but the line was busy. Haruto had beaten him to it. He told Aya all about what was happening at their old school, chatting like they were still in the biology classroom after school. For a little while, Aya forgot the anxiety of her first day at the new school. Around the same time, Dr. Mizuno told Aya's mom about her latest diagnosis. The news wasn't good. Aya's condition was about to progress to the next stage. Her ability to swallow would decline, she'd struggle to speak clearly, her limb function would weaken, and even a simple cold could lead to complications like pneumonia. Aya seemed scared of her worsening illness, so she started pushing herself to move on her own, even though it was incredibly hard. Sometimes she'd miss class because of it. Her teacher told her she should try to keep up with everyone else's pace, but Aya was terrified, afraid that if she relied on her wheelchair once, she'd never be able to walk on her own again. That evening, Haruto called again. He asked if she wanted to go to the aquarium with him. Aya said she'd need to check with her mom, but deep down, she was already looking forward to it. On the day of their trip, Haruto went to the special needs school to pick Aya up. At the aquarium, he pointed out different animals to her, explaining that dolphins make ultrasonic sounds humans can't hear, sounds they use to communicate with other dolphins far away. Aya pressed her ear to the glass, trying to listen. "I wish humans could talk to people far away like that too," she said. Haruto told her to wait, then walked off. He came back with a small dolphin charm and hung it on Aya's phone, a way for them to stay connected, even when they weren't together. While Haruto went to buy drinks, a stranger approached Aya to ask for directions. Aya tried to answer, but she couldn't get the right sounds out. The stranger stared at her in confusion, and Aya was overwhelmed with helplessness and embarrassment. She struggled to describe the route and eventually managed to help the stranger, but the fear of not being able to say what she wanted had planted a seed of anxiety in her heart. On their way back, Haruto tried to hail a taxi, but none stopped. Then a heavy rain started pouring down. Haruto took off his jacket and covered Aya with it. Back at Aya's house, her parents were frantic. They knew even a mild cold could lead to serious trouble for Aya in her current condition. Faced with their worry, Haruto could only keep apologizing. Aya's mom had snapped at him earlier, but it was only because she was so scared for Aya. Deep down, she was grateful that Haruto always spent time with Aya and took her out. But Aya's condition was getting worse. A cold for her wasn't a small thing. It could even be life-threatening. Aya, too, felt terrible about what had happened.
ごめんね。いろいろ迷惑かけちゃって。さっき、お母さんが言ってたことを。
ごめん。雨でよく聞こえない。
やっぱり、聞こえにくいかな。
そんなことないから。大丈夫だから。
もう、前みたいにはいかないんだね。車椅子、押してもらうことはあっても、もう、一緒には歩けないし、雨に濡れたくらいで。大騒ぎさせちゃうし、きっとそのうち話せなくなって電話もできなくなっちゃうんだろうね。もう全然違うね。東高にいた頃とは麻生君とはもう住む世界が違っちゃったのかも。
That rain changed something in both of them. Neither knew how to face the world after that storm. At her next checkup, Aya told Dr. Mizuno about her trouble speaking. He told her not to give up on sharing her thoughts. No matter what, if someone is willing to listen, they'll understand you. One day, Haruto ran into Aya's younger sister AKO at the library, where she'd come to return books. Ever since learning about Aya's illness, AKO had been studying harder than ever. She wanted to get into Toko High, wanted to fulfill Aya's dream of graduating from there for her. Even if it was hard, even if she might not make it, she figured it was better than doing nothing. As Haruto walked away from the library, he suddenly froze, like he just realized something. Then he turned around and ran back.
久しぶり。電話できなくて。直接来た。
Dr. Mizuno's words echoed in Aya's mind. Asterisk, if someone is willing to listen, they'll understand you. So she told Haruto about a dream she'd had. In all her past dreams, she could walk and run freely. But in this one, she was in a wheelchair, unable to move her body the way she wanted.
俺の今の気持ち、言っていいか。ずっと先のことなんて、わかんない。けど、今の気持ちなら 100% 嘘がないって。俺、お前が話すなら、どんなにゆっくりでも、ちゃんと聞くよ。電話で話せないなら、こうやって直接会いに来る。俺、イルカじゃねえし。お前もイルカじゃねえし。お前が歩くなら、どんなにゆっくりでも、一緒に歩く。今は頼りにならないかもしれないけど、いつか、お前の役に立ちたい。昔みたいにいかなくても、そういう気持ちで繋がってるから、住む世界が違うとは思わない。俺、お前のこと好きなのかも。
ありがとう。
Slowly, Aya was starting to adjust to life at the special needs school, and Haruto had made up his mind to get into medical school. One day, Aya's whole family showed up at the school unexpectedly. Her mom said she had something to tell Aya right away.
私受かったよ。あやねの着てた制服で代わりに東高卒業するからね。安心して。あやねの夢、私が引き受けたから。
Even if she'd lose things in the future, Aya decided to live in the present. Asterisk, isn't it nice to pass the dreams I had to give up on to AKO? She thought, I'll do what I can now and hold on to this happiness tightly. Even though Aya worked tirelessly to train and study at the special needs school, her conditions worsening was unavoidable. Dr. Mizuno explained that given how her illness was progressing after graduation, both pursuing further education and finding a job would be extremely tough for her. So he and Aya's parents suggested that having her family by her side and focusing fully on rehabilitation might be the better choice. Graduation day finally arrived. Teachers from the special needs school came to say goodbye to Aya. They'd met many children with disabilities there, but Aya, with her exceptional strength and optimism, had brought them something uniquely meaningful. During her time at the school, Aya wrote numerous poems filled with hopeful lines. If there's pain, rise above it. Don't rush, don't worry, don't give up. No matter how small the act, I want to help others. Aya had always been hopeful, facing everything with positivity. But her declining health and the looming prospect of a life where she could do nothing made her start doubting the hope she'd written about. As she looked back at the special needs school, she faintly realized that from this moment on, there might no longer be a place that felt hers. When she got home, her younger siblings greeted her warmly. To make things easier for Aya, the family had sectioned off a room on the first floor to be her bedroom. As her family showed her the items they picked out for her her new room, Aya felt their deep love, but the sense of loss and anxiety still lingered, unrelieved. One day, Aya invited her high school friends over for a meal. Haruto had gotten into medical school, and Mari had been accepted into the education program at an all-girls college. Each friend talked about their new schools and the things they wanted to do next. The gap between them and Aya felt even sharper. If I didn't have this illness, she thought, I could have found something I wanted to do too, just like them. Meanwhile, Dr. Mizuno was still conducting research, but there had been no progress with his findings. One day, Haruto took Aya to visit his college. Watching students and couples chatting and walking across campus, even the ever-optimistic Aya struggled to comfort herself. She couldn't ignore the gap now. If I hadn't gotten sick, she thought I could be enjoying college life too, walking side by side with Haruto. Despite the immense pain in her heart, I didn't give up. She worked hard at rehabilitation, fighting against her disabled body. The incredible perseverance of 18-year-old Aya inspired both Haruto and Dr. Mizuno. She was someone to admire, yet it was impossible not to feel sorry for her. When Aya's mom came to pick her up, Aya suddenly asked if she could be hospitalized. She felt that twice-weekly rehabilitation sessions weren't enough. Instead of resting comfortably at home, Aya wanted to keep pushing herself to try harder, even just a little more on her own. One day, Mr. Takano from the special needs school visited Aya's mom. Turned out Mr. Takano was marrying teacher Madoka, and they wanted to invite the Ikuchi couple and Aya to their wedding. Beyond that, Mr. Takano pulled out a book, a publication featuring patients living with incurable illnesses. He wanted to publish Aya's poems in it. He knew it would make her happy. Around the same time, Haruto, who'd come to the hospital to visit Aya, ran into his father. Haruto's dad knew all about how Haruto had been caring for Aya, but he also knew that 18-year-old Haruto was still not mature enough. Just then, Aya's mom arrived at the hospital too. Haruto's father said he was grateful that Aya had changed Haruto so much, but as a father, he couldn't be sure if Haruto could handle the hardships that came with Aya's illness, or if Haruto might eventually leave, hurting Aya in the process. If that's the case, he asked, wouldn't it be better to stop now? His words were harsh, but they held truth. When Aya's mom returned to the hospital room, she told Aya about teacher Madoka's wedding. She knew Aya hadn't been doing well lately, so she encouraged Aya to show everyone how radiant she could be. One day, while alone in her hospital room, Aya tried hard to stand up to go to the bathroom. She struggled to control her trembling body. The wheelchair, just a few feet away, felt like an uncrossable gap. She lost her balance and fell to the floor. At that moment, Haruto was walking toward her room.
どうした？
来ないで。
大丈夫か？
来ないで。来ないで。あや。どうしたの？麻生くん、ちょっと出てて。
いやでも俺
いいから今出てって。大丈夫大丈夫。あ、ねえあこ、バケツ持ってきて。うん。あや、着替えよ。ねえあや。これからは方法を考えればいいだけよ。トイレに行きたくなってからだと間に合わない。だったら時間を決めていけばいいんじゃない？ほら、着替えないと風邪ひくわよ。
How could Aya bear having an accident like this in front of someone she liked? In that instant, she felt too drained to even think. Aya's mom smiled at her, repeating that it's okay, but when she turned away to clean the floor, she couldn't hold back her tears. She knew how devastating this day had been for Aya, but there was nothing they could do. How do we face this? How do we keep going? That night, Aya couldn't fall asleep no matter how hard she tried. The day's events replayed in her mind on a loop. She made her way to the hallway, wanting to make a phone call. With great difficulty, she inserted her phone card, then struggled to lift her hand to dial the number. But she was too slow. Before she could finish entering it, the card popped out. It was like a sixth sense. Aya's mom suddenly felt a wave of worry for her. Unable to stay at ease, she decided to head to the hospital. When she arrived, Aya wasn't in her room. Panicked, she rushed out to look for her.
あや、どうしたのこんな時間に。風邪ひいちゃうでしょ。早く戻ろう。お母さん。どうしたの？眠れなくって、目閉じるのが怖くって。家に電話かけたの。何度もしたの。お母さんの声が聞きたかったから。でもうまく押せなくって助けてお母さん。私にできること一つもなくなっちゃうよ。行こう。
After bringing Aya back to the room, her mom pulled out Aya's notebook from the drawer. Even though there were so many things Aya couldn't do anymore because of her illness, she kept writing in that diary without realizing it, something many able-bodied people couldn't stick to. Even if you can't do much now, her mom said, don't you still have writing? In that moment, Aya's desperate mood finally lifted a little, thanks to her mom's words. The day of teacher Madoka's wedding arrived at last. Aya went with her parents to attend. Her dad asked, are you sure you don't want to get in touch with Haruto? I replied, he probably has his own stuff going on anyway.
置いてけぼりにすんなよ。行くって言っただろ。
本当に着てきたんだ。タキシード。
兄貴の借りたんだよ。
似合ってないよ。
うるせえ。
Just then, the bride started tossing her bouquet, and it landed right in Aya's arms. Everyone cheered and clapped for her. Aya stared at the bouquet in her hands. Could I ever have a happy moment like teacher Madokas? On the way back, Aya's parents seemed eager to leave Haruto and Aya alone to talk. They said they'd go get the car and left first. Aya pulled a letter out of her pocket and handed it to Haruto.
何？
ラブレター。
あ、そう。
When Aya's parents brought her back to the hospital, she suddenly started struggling to breathe, as if she'd been choked. Dr. Mizuno rushed over to treat her immediately. Meanwhile, Haruto was just about to open the letter Aya had given him. In the letter, Aya wrote, "I chose to write this because I couldn't bring myself to say these things out loud. Thank you so much for your constant company and encouragement. So many times, it was seeing your energetic, vibrant self that gave me the strength and confidence to keep going. But precisely because of that, I know someone as kind and outstanding as you will meet so many more people and have a future full of endless possibilities."
でも私は違います。私に残された未来は何とかして生きる、それだけ。この差はどうしようもありません。毎日自分と戦っています。その気持ちを抑え込むので精一杯です。麻生くんに手紙書いた。正直に言います。麻生くんといると辛いです。あんなこともしたい、こんなこともしたい。麻生くんといると叶わない大きな夢を描いてしまうんです。もちろん麻生くんのせいじゃありません。でも羨ましくて情けなくて、どうしても今の自分が惨めになってしまうんです。そんなんじゃ前を向いて生きていけないから。いろいろしてくれてありがとう。こんな私のこと好きって言ってくれてありがとう。何も返せないでごめんなさい。もう会えません。
どうしてあや、大事なもの自分から諦めるのは。
お母さん、お父さん、先生、私、結婚できる？そうだよね。でも、それでも、いつかが来たら、お花いっぱいに囲まれて眠り続けたい。
あなたの言うことはいつも正しいです。
Why does fate make me face all this? Aya wondered, her heart filled with confusion and regret. Whether she looked back on the past or thought about the future, all it brought was pain. But if she thought about nothing, she was left staring at a body that could do nothing. Even with all her strength and resolve, the truth remained as Haruto's father had said. At 18, they were too young to bear the weight of this illness. Aya, surrounded by illness, still kept writing. Her poems and diary entries were published in magazines every month. For Aya, this was the only thing she could still do right now. Meanwhile, Haruto, who was studying medicine, began researching treatments related to spinocerebellar degeneration. Ever since he received the letter Aya wrote him that day, Haruto had been thinking about the pain she mentioned. If he was really causing Aya extra suffering, would it be better to leave? In truth, Haruto didn't know what the right choice was either. He just didn't want to make Aya feel worse, and wanted to help her in whatever way he could. Hospital days were always boring, so her family visited Aya often to keep her company. Their presence filled the small hospital room with warmth. Watching her family chat, Aya would sometimes zone out and feel like she wasn't even sick. AKO said her painting had won an award and would be displayed in the school's exhibition hall. When Aya returned to Toko High, she looked at the familiar campus, and happy memories came flooding back. The sound of singing from a classroom suddenly pulled Aya's thoughts back to 5 years ago. Back then, she'd only been looking forward to the choir competition and seeing the person she liked. But the onset of her illness had slowly stripped away that anticipation bit by bit. Now, returning to this familiar campus again, Aya seemed to rediscover the version of herself she remembered. But the cruelty of her illness came faster than hope. Aya tried to prop herself up to get out of bed, but the moment her feet touched the floor, she realized she had no strength left to support herself.
あや、どうした？転んじゃったの？ 気がないかな。
どうしました？
あや、お母さん、もう歩けない。あや、悲しいけど頑張ろう。大丈夫よ。お母さんね、あやをおんぶするくらいの力十分あるんだから。
お母さん、私何のために生きてるの？
Dr. Mizuno told Aya's parents that her motor function and physical strength had clearly declined, and there was a chance of sudden life-threatening complications. Although they didn't want to accept this, they knew they'd have to face the truth eventually. At that moment, Aya's mom, who was walking out of the office, ran into Haruto's father. Haruto's father, of course, knew how far Aya's illness had progressed, but he suddenly started talking about his eldest son, Haruto's older brother. 6 years ago, Haruto's brother had died in an accident, and they'd never even gotten a chance to say goodbye. Cherish the time you have left with your daughter, Haruto's father said simply. After regaining her composure, Aya's mom returned to the hospital room. She saw Aya struggling to write and urged her to take a break, but Aya stubbornly refused to put down her pen. She was terrified, afraid that if she didn't write down her thoughts now, she'd forget them by tomorrow. Her diary was the only thing that proved she was still alive, and it was the very meaning of her existence now. So Aya clung to writing in her diary with all her might. She didn't want to lose the last thing she could still do. When Haruto visited the hospital that day, he saw a new doctor greeting Aya. He stopped in his tracks but didn't approach. He just watched from a distance. Haruto wanted to step forward and say something, but he couldn't bring himself to move. It wasn't until Aya left that Haruto called out to the doctor.
もっとちゃんと勉強してください。あいつ体うまく動かせないけど、うまく話せないけど、幼稚園児じゃありません。頭の中はあなたと一緒です。ちゃんとわかりますから。
Dr. Mizuno was also fully devoted to researching Aya's illness, but other doctors and nurses, who didn't know the truth, speculated that he was working so hard only to transfer to another hospital. Aya accidentally overheard their careless conversation. Was Dr. Mizuno really leaving? The sudden news made Aya choke on her food while she was eating. She coughed violently, feeling her breathing grow more and more difficult. Dr. Mizuno quickly rushed to her room. What would have been a simple case of choking for anyone else had put Aya in a critical situation. Akeo, who witnessed this, froze in place, unable to speak for a long time. When Aya woke up, she saw her family's anxious faces and the tears in their eyes. She couldn't speak and didn't even know what to say. I'm gonna die from something this trivial, aren't I? That was all Aya could think at that moment. One day, a nurse gave Dr. Mizuno letters from readers addressed to Aya, asking him to pass them on. Dr. Mizuno handed the letters meant for Aya to Haruto.
久しぶり。
Haruto read one of the letters to Aya. The girl who wrote it said she had the same illness as Aya and had long been trapped in the pain and depression of her condition. It wasn't until she read Aya's diary in the magazine that she realized she still had a reason to live. She hoped to live as bravely as Aya did. Aya had always said she wanted to do something helpful for others. Now, hearing that someone had found strength because of her, her sense of powerlessness faded a little in that moment. Aya finally confirmed that her existence had meaning.
お前には欲張ってでも無理にでもずっと生きててほしい。
歩けなくなっちゃった。でも、私、役に立てた。
そうだよ。
So that day, she asked Dr. Mizuno if he was really leaving. Only when he answered that he'd stay did Aya finally relax.
見捨てられたかと思った。いつまでも私が良くならないから。
見捨てないよ。絶対に見捨てない。だって君は僕の患者だろ。だからあやちゃんも諦めちゃダメだよ。
もしも私の体使ってね。病気の原因見つけてね。同じ病気の人の役に立ちたい。
Dr. Mizuno didn't know how to face those firm, clear eyes of hers. He left almost as if fleeing. Staring at the research papers he'd written on his computer, he thought, I'm the one who can do nothing, even though I'm a doctor. How could he face Aya? How could he face his research that had made no progress? Even the experienced Dr. Mizuno had no answers now. Christmas was approaching. Aya's mom asked if she wanted any gifts. After thinking for a moment, Aya said she wanted to go home, and Dr. Mizuno agreed to her parents' request. Even though he knew Aya would be safest in the hospital given her current condition, he also knew this was Aya's wish now. So no matter what, they wanted to help her do what she wanted. That day, Aya's family greeted her happily when she got home. They gathered around the dining table, full of joy. Aya's mom took out the gifts Aya had picked out for her younger siblings. Aya had always felt guilty toward her siblings. She'd always thought her illness had disrupted the family's life. So Aya wrote these feelings down in a letter and her mom read it aloud to everyone. I'm sorry for taking up so much of Mom's time, Aya wrote at the end of the letter. Even though her family had visited her often in the hospital, the warmth of being home now brought a different kind of meaning to Aya. The next morning, before going to school, AKO suddenly suggested taking a family photo. So just like on Aya's first day of high school 5 years ago, the whole family stood at the door and took a photo. Even though it was just a moment captured in the camera, I still felt full of happiness and a sense of security in that instant. As time passed, Aya's condition kept worsening. Now, she could barely speak and had to use a letter board to communicate what she wanted to say. Because of this, Aya clung to writing in her diary like it was a lifeline. She gripped her pen with all her strength, jotting down her inner thoughts in the notebook. And Haruto still visited Aya often, just like he used to. Over this period, Haruto's father had gradually changed his mind. He knew that Haruto, like himself, seemed powerless to do anything, even though Haruto was studying to be a doctor and stayed by Aya's side. Haruto's stubbornness and awkwardness had once worried his father, but now his father realized he might have been treating Haruto like a kid for too long. It's okay to be awkward and it's okay to cry a little more, his father told him. Just do what you think is right. Haruto came to the ward with flowers. Even though Aya could only communicate with him using a letter board, nothing else seemed to have changed. They still chatted back and forth just like before. Then, Aya asked Haruto to read her diary. In those entries, Aya had written down all her feelings since falling ill. These words captured what Aya used to be like, and also proved the value of her existence now. As Haruto read, both of them were drawn into memories. Even at a young, immature age, even facing such a cruel illness, Aya had been so full of hope, always encouraging herself to face the way the illness was taking over her body, with clarity. Aya's heart had shouldered so many emotions.
お母さん、私、結婚できる？
お母さん、私結婚できる。お前頑張ったら。頑張って生きてきたな。威張んなよ。分かった。
Finally, in her dream that night, Aya was able to move freely again. She ran freely on the court, and her friends cheered for her. All the things that should have belonged to Aya Ikuchi, now she could only catch glimpses of them in her dreams. Aya had one dream after another, and with her sick body, she held on for another 5 years.
あやちゃん、先生。シュウカ、あやちゃん、あやちゃん。
どうぞお待ちください。
At the age of 25, Aya passed away. She had lived from 15 to 25, carrying the weight of her illness. But those 10 years hadn't flown by like a dream. So Aya had written so many words, so that this long, painful time would have some meaning, and to prove to herself that she was still there. By then, a full year had passed since Aya's death. The words and diary entries she had written had become one of the ways her mother missed her. So that day, her mother also wrote a letter to Aya. Can you walk now? Can you eat well? Can you laugh and talk out loud? Are you doing okay without mom by your side? Even now, these were the things her mother still worried about.
苦しんで苦しんでたくさんの涙を流したあなたの人生が何のためだったか、お母さんは今でも考え続けています。今でも答えを見つけられずにいます。でもね、あや、
お久しぶりです。
What is the meaning of life? This question that had lingered with Aya until her death was now left for her parents to explore. In truth, Aya, who hadn't given up even until her last moment, had brought so much unique meaning to the world. She was so kind, so brave that when people stood beside her, they couldn't help but feel the pain and guilt of being able to do nothing. Why couldn't they help Aya? Why did they have to just watch her suffer helplessly? Sometimes, just seeing Aya being brave despite her illness made people want to cry. And the meaning Aya had been searching for, maybe it had already appeared long ago.
池内さん、やっぱりあやさんはすごい人でした。
Aya's diary entries published in magazines had been read by many people. Some were moved by her, while others began searching for the meaning of their own lives because of her. There were also many patients who had the same illness as Aya. Because of Aya, they realized they weren't alone. They had gained strength and confidence from Aya's diaries and poems. Aya's bravery had crossed the gap of illness and touched countless hearts. Those words she had written with unyielding will, those words she had written through tears, those words that carried both her pain and her youth, they had finally brought meaning to many people in one way or another. Does my existence have meaning? Why do I live? The answers to these questions she had asked herself countless times seemed to finally be clear.
ねえ、あや、そっちでは もう泣いたりしてないよね。お母さん、笑顔のあなたにもう一度だけ会いたい。
슬픔의 무게를 난 왜 몰랐을까.